when we use the words appropriate technology, mostly what we think about are low energy, relatively simple technologies that can be invoked in developing countries that have low life cycle environmental impact. And so you go down to a developing country where you don't have large diesel generators, you have to build something that has low energy input. You don't have a team of PhDs to troubleshoot your technology if it breaks, so it has to be reasonably simple and transparent. And lastly, if you produce a bunch of effluent, a bunch of poop from your technology that's bad for you, you can't ship it away like we have up here. And so it has to have a soft environmental impact. If you want to be self-reliant, you need appropriate technologies certainly in a developing world. So you can't rely on large energy sources that aren't there. And well, for all the reasons that I just explained, why appropriate technology is what we think of in developing countries. People have certain needs or wants. And in the developing world, we've developed these large technologies that fit everywhere. If we go into an area, we can look at the environment and find smaller technologies that are more suited for that area. For instance, small solar or small hydro. And so by going in and having a smaller technology, you don't put the people at the dependence of external funding, and you also don't compromise their environment so that, for instance, they can still farm. One appropriate technology that we've been building for impoverished communities, impoverished rural communities, is, for instance, we've been partnering with Engineers Without Borders, working in Nicaragua, and we're making earth bricks there. And so, you take the soil, and we used GIS information to find out what the constituents of the soil of the area is, and you mix a little bit of cement and you make a brick. Now you need to compress the bricks, and brick compressors cost about $1,000. And we've made one that you compress with impact. So we build kind of a large box, and you put a top on it, and you whack it with a hammer, and they work very well, and they cost maybe $50. So what kind of other development technologies have people had? So these large efforts to implement Western technologies in developing country have a history of failure largely, where people have brought these big technologies, big industrial technologies down, and they fail for a number of reasons. One, because once the support leaves, the people can't keep the technologies going because they don't have the money, they don't have the technical expertise, or because the technology is actually really inappropriate for the people and they don't use it at all. Our premise is that it's very difficult to design a technology for someone else. However, if you design a technology with someone else, your probability of success is much higher. And so the model we want to present is I'm a technology instructor at Cal Poly. I would like to go down to Bolivia, for instance, if we have a community there. I would like to take several students, maybe 15 students, with me, and I would pick up 15 local students. Our students could live in families in the area and learn the culture and the language, and we would together work with their needs and their resources, look at the supply chains of what we can get there, and build technologies that these people say, hey, wait, if we had this, we could do this. If we had this pump, we could irrigate these fields. This is what we want. We're invested in it. The key element in developing these technologies are recognizing that we don't understand a priori what's right for the people. Okay? Paul Pollack, who wrote Out of Poverty, the first premise, he says, if you haven't talked to 25 people, don't do anything. So we need to go down there and recognize their situation with them, that we sit down, why are you poor? That's the first questions he asks people is, why are you poor? And they say, well, I'm poor because I make no money. I make no money because I can't X, Y, Z. And then we look at X, Y, Z, and there might be things we can't do, but there might be things we can do. And so the issue is to empower the people to pull themselves out of poverty.